This is Albert Wilson, the last surviving American Civil War veteran. At least, the last surviving American Civil War veteran who could prove that he actually fought in that war. He was born in 1850. In 1864, at the age of 14, he became a drummer boy for the Union Army. Oh, by the way, this footage that you are watching of him, a TV station in St. Paul, Minnesota, filmed it in 1956, shortly before he died.
Imagine if you were able to talk with someone from the Revolutionary War or the Civil War. How impactful would that be? And we have the opportunity right now with World War II veterans to have that experience and to document that experience in a way that is going to be very impactful, because unfortunately back then, when it comes to the Revolutionary War, we didn't have the technological means of capturing interviews like that.
I'm Mr. Beat. World War II, the biggest and deadliest war in human history, ended nearly 80 years ago. The day I was born was closer to it than the present day. Man, I'm old. But you know who's older? These three dudes, who were all born the year after World War II ended. Often we learn history directly from those who experienced it firsthand. But the vast majority of folks who experienced World War II firsthand are now dead. Around 70 million people fought in World War II. Less than 75,000 of them are still around today.
Some people don't even realize that there are still some around left. When I tell people that I'm out doing interviews with World War II veterans, they appreciate it.
Did you ever play the game of what if in your life? What if this happened? What if that happened? What if those men had arrived on the correct date? We would have been in the Philippine Islands for the Bataan Death March. That was something I'm glad I missed.
It was a good life. Sometimes I think that maybe we were getting too complacent in those days, and we didn't realize what was happening was going to be as serious as it was when it happened, if we're talking about World War II. Yeah.
The youngest World War II veterans today are in their late 90s.
The unit I was trained in was called the INR platoon. That means intelligence and reconnaissance, and it was our job to learn how to read maps and how to go on patrols without being seen and without being noticed, hopefully. But the idea was to spot the enemy, see what they were doing. You really learn the country.
I was an 18-year-old kid in high school, and it didn't really register with me what was going on. We heard some about it. We didn't have TV and radio like you have now.
Based on current estimates, nearly all of them will be dead by the year 2040.
15 years is a projection of how long we have until all the World War II veterans are actually gone. But if you consider the number of them that are living still, but unfortunately unable to recall their experience during the war, then that number, drops even lower.
I was extremely fortunate to spend some time with two of them. Wilbur Grisham served as a medic in the Pacific theater of the war.
Have you ever seen the dismembered body? Parts missing? Well, that's what we had. Depending on how close they were to the center of the bomb explosion, we had individuals that had legs off and arms off, and you had just parts of a body. That was hard. My duty was to get the dog tag out, get the man's name, get it on a piece of paper, and move the body on and take care of the next one. That was rather hard to see.
Marvin Blakeman served with the 83rd Infantry Division in the European theater of the war. He landed at Normandy and saw combat as he marched through France, eventually fighting in the Battle of the Bulge.
The thing that I remember most about the Battle of the Bulge was the cold. I thought it was never going to get warm again in my life. I thought the world was going to blow up being cold. That cold was just embedded in my mind ever since.
The Japanese at that time to us were bad people. They did not have as many men available as we did, so they ruled with the bayonet. They would control a town or an area by taking a few people out and kill them right in front of the rest of the inhabitants of the area and say, if you don't do what we tell you, we'll do the same to you. And they would do that each island that they landed on and took over. That's how they controlled them.
We went into the hedgerows, and here things were beginning to really get sticky because we were getting into small arms fire, which meant that the enemy was just on the other side of a hedgerow or two. They were firing at us. Some of these places had a little opening. The hedgerows didn't come all the way. I was looking over a hedgerow that night, and it was almost getting dark, and I saw a little movement going from the one of the hedgerows to the other hedgerows. It was obviously someone was crawling along the field there. We were close enough we could speak to each other if we wanted to.
I also was extremely fortunate to spend the day with Hudson, who works with the channel Memoirs of World War II.
We are against time here. There's only a few of them left, and they're going away quickly. And without their messages, we'll forget. There are people who forget that the Holocaust actually happened. Some people haven't even heard of the Holocaust. There's a lot of lessons that you can learn from these veterans.
The folks at Memoirs of World War II travel to as many places as they can to interview and honor the few surviving World War II veterans left. These veterans have not only important stories to share, but fascinating stories. And because they are personal stories, they capture what history books often can't.
I've seen stuff that a kid shouldn't see. It was bad.
And the videos are incredibly well produced. The channel is a gem. Check it out.
I started to recognize that the World War II veterans were passing away quickly. And if I was going to have an opportunity to talk with them, now would be the time to do it.
That's Heather and Josh. They started the channel back in 2017.
And, you know, I would watch series like Band of Brothers, and I loved that every episode started with an interview with the actual guys from Easy Company. That intrigued me a lot. And so I always thought, you know, man, it'd be so cool to go and talk to one of these guys.
Heather and Josh told me that there are often 3 types of World War II veterans they interview. I do, I think, I feel. The I do veterans just prefer to tell you exactly what they did during the war. I think vets not only tell you what they did, but they tell you what they thought about what they did. I feel vets, as you probably guessed already, also tell you what they felt about what they did.
We became closer bonded. We were just happy with each other, and it was a good feeling, a feeling of togetherness, just brotherhood. And you were just content with each other. I was so proud of them, and so proud to have been a part of it.
I would connect with ones that would say, I feel, you know, so much like emotion in it, and you could get more information because they were there. I remember the first time we had a World War II veteran that told us, this is the first time I'm telling anyone this in 75 years. And they were telling Josh who they just met, you know, minutes before.
They brought in a fellow who had been hit, and he was screaming for morphine, and the medics just calmly told him, well, he's sorry, but he's all out of morphine. We've already used it all up. I'll never forget that moment. As soon as those guys jumped out and got behind the knoll, he quickly turned the Jeep around and started to go forward, and he ran over an anti-tank line. It was just blown to bits, right there in the driver's side. He got the worst of it, was killed immediately. And I said, well, where's Trek? And I said, well, he's dead. And it struck me like a bullet. My best friend, gone like that. All my breath was gone, everything was gone. And I just stood there and just wept. I don't know for how long, but we had lost our best man, and he was doing it in the line of duty, and he saved 3 lives, and I think he was dutifully decorated for that.
Can you describe to me what you were feeling, and do you recall when the war ended?
I was in Camp Carson, Colorado, and you could hear the roar of people yelling, it's over. Suddenly it's over. We've been under a certain stress for so long, and all of a sudden, it stopped. It's over.
We had the privilege of going to their home and showing them the edit before we released
which is terrifying. I go to his house to show him the completed video. That was amazing to just sit there and watch him react to it.
After the video's done, he stands straight up and he salutes Josh, and he's crying, and he's just like, those were the worst days of my life, but looking back, they were the best days of my life. And you captured that for me. And just to have that honor, like a World War II veteran honor, it was just so rewarding. These kids are playing video games and they're just shooting people, and they're not thinking about like, what was that person's story? And I think in war, realizing you're not just out there playing a game. There are stories and there's a connection.
You know, it's kind of crazy how we are the last people to hear their stories in person. And how truly lucky we are to get this amazing footage of them in 4K. The greatest generation may soon be gone, but it's up to us to keep their memory alive for generations to come. Thanks to Hudson and all the folks at Memoirs of World War II for letting me collaborate with them. Be sure to check out their channel and subscribe. And now it's time for my monthly or semi-monthly shout out to all my Patreon supporters who donate at least $15 or more each month to my channel. Starting with my biggest donors, thank you to Alicia Solberg, Alvino V, Andrew B, Anthony Beckett, Austin Ciros, Brady Bardwell, Corey Ryman, Dr. Paul J. Lilly, Empty Machine, Jeremy Dunham, Jesus Carrillo, Joe Cook, Michael Cortez, Michael Olszewski, Neo R14, Nicholas Dronsky, Nick Everett, Pat Iapicca, Patrick Stewart, Richard Taylor, Robert Candle, Sammy, Sean Connett, Adam Christians, Aditya Anand, Andrew Snyder, Shams McGuffey, Elias Pierce, Emily Glover Wilson, Eric Davey, Eric Hernandez, Grant Gazaga, Jack L., Jack Long, Jonathan Perry, Joshua Jackson, Justin Love, Michael Burt, Michael Shio, Naderade, Ralph, Raquel Jones, Salty, Steve Bryan, TC, Thomas Oppenheim, Ty Marwitz, Victor McLean, and Zachary F. Parker. Thanks to all my Patreon supporters, and thank you for staying curious.